How's it going, guys? Once again, back for another MCU review, and I'm really happy about this one because we finally get to Captain America: The Winter Soldier. When this came out, this was definitely my favorite MCU film. I'm not sure if it's still my favorite, but it's a top five. Like absolutely, like I wouldn't like if you were to if you were to tell me, Jake, top five MCU films. Winter Soldier would absolutely still be in my top five. I fucking love this one. This is the reason why I am a die-hard Captain America fan at this point. This is why I was Team Cap in Civil War. This is why Cap has been my favourite MCU character since this film. Originally it was Thor, and Thor is still like a top 3 for me. I'd say, like, definitely top 5, probably top 3. But, so this is one that I've been looking forward to talking about because I loved it, you know. I'm a real slut for a good spy thriller, and I'm a slut for a good superhero film, and these are both examples of both. So, like, I like. The plot is Captain America is now living in the modern day and working for S.H.I.E.L.D. until he's having issues with S.H.I.E.L.D., sort of the mentality and trying to decide what's right and wrong in such a morally grey world that he finds himself in now. And once Nick Fury discovers a secret about S.H.I.E.L.D., you know, he has to go on the run from them, and it's this big conspiracy, sort of based off 70s spy films, sort of Robert Redford films, which is very ironic and fitting because Robert Redford is the main villain in this movie, and Cap comes in contact with a infamous, legendary assassin known as the Winter Soldier, who may or may not be someone from Captain America's own past. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm on about. If you haven't, watch the movie for God's sakes. This was the first time the Russo Brothers directed an MCU film, and they knocked it out of the park, considering their previous work had mainly been on the show Community, which is a comedy, and this is just an action film. There's such a big leap for them, but they made the leap perfectly. And it's just, I love this. This changed how Captain America is seen as a character by fans, and also this marked the change in the MCU where things started to get, I'm not going to say a bit more serious, but they became more open to serious discussions within the movies, you know, and also it began Marvel on down that road of becoming more than just superhero films. Like, this is a 70s-esque political thriller first, and a superhero film second. And I think going forward, a lot of the MCU films now are becoming more of a specific genre before even being a comic book hero. Like, they're a genre film. Like, the thing with superhero films is they've needed to evolve and become other things rather than just superhero films to stay going, to keep the bubble from bursting, and the MCU have been able to do that. Since Winter Soldier, we've had spy films, we've had space operas, we've had heist films, we've had fantasy, sci-fi, you know, like, we've had so many different things, and this was, I think, like, the beginning of that, you know. First off, obviously, Chris Evans kills it here. He's been killing it since the first Avenger, but he just kicked it into another gear here. I think Captain America just fits better in the modern world than in the 1940s, which is a bit odd, but, you know. Scott, one thing I loved about this film is despite the fact that this is first and foremost Captain America's story, there's more than just Captain America getting the shine here. Black Widow's in here, we're introduced to Falcon in this movie, he's great, Nick Fury's great. This feels like everyone's movie, even though it's Cap's movie. You know, like, this feels like the best version of a Black Widow movie we're gonna get until they make that standalone film for it. This feels like the best Nick Fury film we're gonna get. This feels like half like a Falcon movie at times. It feels like everyone gets to shine here. Everyone gets a lot of character development. We get to know more about Black Widow and develop her character. We get to know more about Nick Fury, you know. And no one feels like they're not in this for a reason. The Winter Soldier is a complete and utter fucking badass in this movie. The action scene on the highway, it straight up feels like the T-1000, like something out of Terminator, and I loved it. He is so awesome in this movie. What else? Sorry, I'm just going to check my notes here. I always check notes, otherwise I will be rambling the fuck on forever. Yeah. Let's see. Robert Redford, I would have to say he's probably one of the most underrated villains in all of the MCU. You know, like, everyone goes on about the Winter Soldier when they talk about Winter Soldier, but I think, you know, director Pierce, I think he is quite the underrated villain, because he feels like the mirror opposite to Nick Fury in a way, like the SHIELD higher up who wants to save the world by, in the same way that Nick Fury wants to bring about the Avengers to save the world, he wants, Pierce wants Project Insight to save the world, like, they're both trying to bring world peace, they're both trying to protect the world, but one's doing it in a good way, one's doing it in a bad way, like, it just feels like that very mirror opposite, sort of, friends turn out to be enemies, and also in the same mirror way that, Bucky went from being an enemy to being a friend. I just think he's underrated, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, because especially at this time, there really wasn't a great MCU villain outside of Loki, who by this point had turned into more of an anti-hero, and Winter Soldier eventually turns into an anti-hero. But no, I would also, again, really give it up to the Russo Brothers for directing this, because obviously they dabbled in comedy most of their careers at this point, and just the action scenes in this movie alone, like the sound design for Cap's shield, the action scenes, the choreography, to the fighting, just everything just felt so great and intense. And this is just, this is a really good film. Like, it's well written, there's no major plot holes. Everything everyone does makes sense, The villain here isn't some, ancient evil who's evil just for the sake of being evil. He, you could almost sympathize with, obviously you can sympathize with Winter Soldier, but the main villain, you can kind of see where he's coming from, even though he's going about what he wants in such an evil way. Just everything is just top notch in this movie. Again, one of my favorite MCU films. Everyone involved, terrific job. This film was one of the most important in all of the MCU going forward. Obviously, it set in motion things for Age of Ultron, it set things in motion for Civil War, and it changed how the public could perceive MCU films, that they can be more than just simple comic book movies. And for that, I am going to give it 10 out of 10. The first film in this series to get 10 out of 10, and it's very well deserved. Anyway, I will see you again soon when we get to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Thank you.